David Menzies for Rebel News here in Aurora, Ontario. And folks, I am at Chuck's Roadhouse. I'm with the manager of this fine establishment, George Avalis. And what you're going to hear now is perhaps the most incredible story ever of how petty a bylaw officer can be. Just will you hear this crazy tale. So, George, as I mentioned, we roll back our timeline to the early part of December. York region, where Aurora is situated in, is in the red zone, not the complete gray zone lockdown. That means you could have 10 people in your 132-seat restaurant. And on a Saturday, you had 10 people in. A bylaw officer came in. He counted the 10. He acknowledged everything was okay. He stood there like a hall monitor. And then what happened?
Well, to take it just a little notch back, right now, as everybody, and especially this kind of industry, is really suffering, we can't afford to be paying extra staff members to be in the front or be in the back. So I was in the back in the kitchen, as I am now as well. And one of my servers had come up to me and said that there's an inspector that wanted to speak with me, and he told me that he was issuing me a ticket, a fine for $880 because my restaurant is only allowed 10 people, and he said that there was 11. When I looked back to give a quick head count, I counted 10. And he claimed after that, no, he said there was a party sitting outside on the patio, a table of 4, which is again allowed. One of the patrons wanted to use the restroom, which again she's allowed to enter the building as the 11th person to use the restroom. It's not against any violation, which he acknowledged that that's not a violation. But his issue was that when he entered the building, coincidentally enough, that's when the patron was exiting the washroom, and he stated to me that she stopped to socialize at a table. Me being in the back in the kitchen cooking, I just had to kind of accept his word. I wouldn't, why would a bylaw officer lie to me? So he issued me a ticket. He also claimed that he could have issued me a second ticket for, I had an extra staff member here she was in between her shift and she was sitting down, and he claimed that she wasn't wearing a mask, where indeed she was. And furthermore...
Wait a minute, does this guy have vision problems or something? Or
you know what, I think from his perspective, I think when he came in, she was literally sitting at that far table over there, and we were speaking over here, and he just happened to see her at the end of the table. He didn't initially see her. And then she was kind of laying down on the side because she was working from the morning. She took about a 30-minute break, and when she had realized what was going on, she wears glasses, and this server, she's a big mask wearer, and because her glasses always need adjusting, she adjusted her mask to fit back onto her glasses, and then he said that she didn't have her mask on. And then I said, well, she's sitting down on the table, and he's like, well, she has to have something in front of her. And I couldn't see again from where I was, so I'm most definitely certain he couldn't see from where she was, where he was as well. And she in fact had a beverage on the table that she had purchased here, and it was a Red Bull. And all this, I was caught off guard because, again, I didn't have a chance to defend myself.
George, it sounds like this bylaw officer, he's very quick on the draw in terms of dispensing fines. But I want to go back to the original and I think most egregious part of this story, which is the lady on the patio came in to use the washroom. And because of that, the head count went from 10 to 11, and that gives you an $880 ticket. First of all, I think this is pettiness to the power of infinity. Secondly, where was that lady supposed to relieve herself? On the patio, in a bush? I mean, where did this bylaw officer expect somebody that needed to use the washroom Where did he expect her to go?
You know what? I'm not sure. I think the biggest problem is I think everybody's confused with all the rules. It seems like the rules are changing every 2-3 days. It's really, really hard to keep track of what's allowed, what's not allowed. I think something for the 10 people in the building, everybody would know something like that. The issue was that, not that she was in the building, the issue was that he said that she stopped to socialize at a table. When going back to my cameras, that's not at all what happened. She had stopped at the bar to get the server's attention because she wanted something, I'm not sure, maybe a bill, maybe to order some more food. And I think when you see the video, she was there for a total of about 2 seconds.
And you know what? The camera doesn't lie. So, folks, why don't we roll some of the surveillance video here at Chuck's Roadhouse? That shows, you're right, I guess she was ordering a drink, asking for her bill, whatever it was. There's no audio that goes with the video. And again, why would this bylaw officer, I guess, misconstrue things, A, about the socializing, and B, not cutting a customer a break that needed to use the lavatory?
I'm lost for words, because even if the person did stop to socialize at a table, that's something I believe that's beyond my control. I can't physically control somebody from stopping out of nowhere. Then he went out to recommend that I have somebody monitor my door, like it's a nightclub or something. Like we can't afford to pay any staff. We don't have food in our fridges, and he's making business recommendations on how to run a business, and on top of
for someone who's gainfully employed, probably has never been in business, never had to make payroll, never had to operate at a profitable level. But you're right. I mean, when it comes to the justice of the so-called crime that was committed, I mean, I look upon it as, on Bayview Avenue here, we have, a 60 kilometer an hour speed limit. Now, if there was an officer doing radar enforcement and you were driving by at 61 kilometers, yes, you are breaking the law. Yes, you are speeding by 1 kilometer over, but I can tell you go to traffic court and the judge would blow a gasket, because the law doesn't get involved, or it shouldn't get involved, in trivial matters. And this is, to me, incredibly trivial, the idea that it was a temporary head count of 1 over the limit of someone who wasn't going to be in the building in the first place.
I think, though, the only difference, I completely agree with you. I think the only difference, though, is that at this point there was nothing illegally or any bylaw was broken at that time, because she didn't stop at a table to socialize. And again, I reiterate that even if she did, that's something, I can't stop somebody from walking to a table and stopping. I can go up and ask them to leave. Same as what I think that the bylaw officer should have did. You know what? This person did this. You have to make sure that everyone, get your message across that that's not something. So instead of helping, it seemed like they're just trying to put their feet on our throats right now. We're already down. We're already suffering, and to go out, it seemed like it was going out of his way to make sure that the tickets were issued. Like, I understand you have a job to do, and if he doesn't perform his job, he can be in trouble if he doesn't perform his job with his job security. But to purposely go out and try to find something like that, like a really fine tuned situation like that, I think that he definitely didn't assess the situation properly. It's not fair to me that I have to spend time to fight a court and ticket. It's not fair that I have to lose a day of work to go there. And on top of that, he offered me 3 different ways and options of what should be going on with this ticket. He said, number 1, I paid in full, which is true. Number 2, you can plead guilty, but with an explanation for a lesser fine, which I don't want to do any of the 2, because then that would make me guilty, or the establishment guilty, and I feel that we were not guilty. He said, or number 3, that I can take it to court, plead not guilty, but if I choose to go to court, he told me that he only wrote 1 ticket. He could have written 2, and if I do go to court, that he's going to produce the other evidence of a girl not wearing a mask, which apparently was already produced because there was a newspaper out here in Newmarket that knew what happened, and they wrote that we were not compliant with mask wearing and that we were over capacity. Doesn't even give our side of the story, and all the public knows now is that we don't wear masks and we pack people in here, apparently, because they're all they wrote what the fine was for. I'm not sure how these news outlets were able to get a hold of that information when the bylaw officer only issued one ticket, but there we go. The newspaper had both infractions on there. He then proceeded to claim that if I do choose to go to court, that I'm going to have to go on his day of choice. I felt like I was being bullied, and I didn't initially respond to anything because it's not in my nature to be confrontational. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I follow all the rules as best as I possibly can. If some law I do something that does get broken by me, it's unintentional. I would never deliberately do anything. I have 3 little kids at home. I would never jeopardize my job, the business, or my livelihood. And to come in and, he saw, I guess, that I was being quiet and compliant, and I felt that he was just trying to use his position of authority to bully me and to scare me.
And you know what? I agree. I think this is a matter of bullying, and I think it speaks to the question of where is the empathy? I mean, even if you did have one person over the limit in your restaurant, you'd think maybe a warning, or like, can you tell someone to leave so that you're in compliance? The idea of going after you, especially during this period in which you're struggling, and Georgia, I covered the restaurant business for 7 years. I can tell you this is the hardest business, even during a roaring economy when everything is clicking along on all cylinders. Right now, it is even more atrocious. In fact, compared to early December, we're in gray zone now in York Region, and that means you can't have any customers at any of these seats. I mean, for goodness sakes, why can't these people in law enforcement cut a guy a break, especially, as far as I can tell, no crime was committed in the first place?
It's like I said, I understand and I respect that everyone has a job to do, but like you said, there should be leniency in everything. When you're issuing a ticket or a speeding ticket or an alcohol infraction or whatever the case may be, there's always a line of leniency. This seemed like there was no getting through to any kind of leniency whatsoever. And again, from his point of view, maybe he thought he was being lenient from not issuing a second ticket. But you got to roll back to the initial question to, well, why was the first ticket even issued?
George, I can tell you this, you don't have to worry about spending a couple of hours in court, and you don't have to worry about legal fees. As I said off camera, we are taking your story on as a fight the fines case. I think this is absolutely egregious what happened to you. So we are going to provide you with a criminal lawyer that's going to represent you in court, and we are going to crowdfund all the legal fees to pay that lawyer. What do you think about that, my friend?
As I told you off camera, I've had a few minutes now to think about it. I was lost for words. That's just such a great gesture on your guys' behalf. I really, really appreciate you coming here, hearing my story. I really appreciate Rebel News for doing this and, fighting for the little guy, fighting for the people that are trying to survive, and without people trying to, gouge at them. It's just remarkable that there's people and organizations like yourselves that are helping us.
Well, George, like I said earlier, I don't have any skin in the game, but hearing what happened to you, it makes me infuriated. And I'll tell you, folks, if you can, please visit our website, fightthefines.com. It is a crowdfunded website. We want to make sure George gets excellent legal help, because you can tell the town of Aurora, it's not backing down despite the video evidence. And this was an egregious crime, I think, committed here, not by the restaurateur, but by the bylaw enforcement officer. So please go to fightthefines.com. Let's get George's case crowdfunded. And in the meantime, I'm David Menzies signing off here in Aurora, Ontario for Rebel News. Hey folks, are you sick and tired of politicians and bureaucrats telling you to keep the lights off at your business? Well, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to open despite the government mandates, please reach out to us here at Rebel News at iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com. Let us know what you're planning to do, and I'll tell the world your story.